everyone, thank you for tuning in once again to the Iconist Podcast. Once again, I am your host, Barry 3D, for Deep Dark Delicious. And as always, on my side, it's the man, the myth, the legend, who? My cousin. For once, I can touch him, and it's not through a screen. I'm talking about the one and only...
DJ Rods C.
DJ Rods C.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Iconist. The Iconist is... we won't get into that right now.
No, it's very simple. The icon is us. We have reached episode 100 of the Iconist Podcast. 100. And like usual, we already called it out, but we got to turn around and do some simple housekeeping. So first of all, let's go through the list. Right. First and foremost, I want to thank Brandy Ford from The Writer and the Wit for sponsoring us, and we sponsor her. But we share it back and forth. Check the link down below. Look for her monthly book coming out on all the things that are happening in the comedy world, and outside of that, she does great interviews. 2, I got to throw some love to the boys I hang with all the time, and that's A Touch of Gray Matter. That's myself, Barry 3D, Dave Sokolowski, and Zolf Ali. We're touring around all over. You can't miss it. Come out, see our live shows. A lot of fun. On top of that, we also got to shout out, who else we like to shout out all the time? Oh, well, hold on. We got to shout out the books. Buy your comic books. Come to the store, support the books, support the books, support the books. Get the comics you can. So if you're in Montreal, you got to go to Check Swings and check them out. Tell Trevor and the rest of the gang we said hi. But as of today, we are here live, well, recorded for you, at the Warehouse of Wonder, Wild Comics out in Kitchener. That's right. So if you're out in Ontario, come on down, give him a holler, say hi. Tell Ramon, you might see him in there in the background, Wes, Chris, and Sydney.
You're on that side.
Right the Iconist Podcast says hi.
Right on.
Right on. I think we got. Oh, wait a minute. No. We got one more. The unseen man. Well, he was seen in one episode. We'll shout him out a little bit in that episode. But we are talking about the one and only
J Bird Digital Art.
J Bird Digital Arts. If you tell him you heard about him on the Iconist Podcast, he will give you a discount on any of the work you need done, be it if it's a template, signs, all that stuff. Reach out to him. Tell him you heard about the Iconist Podcast. Jay, thank you very much. We love you, and we've got to have you back on again soon enough. Yeah, that's right. I think we got our housekeeping pretty much done.
I think we did. Yeah, we swept out the corners. I think we did good. Yeah.
Exactly.
We just vacuuming out right there.
And we got to shout ourselves out in the sense of, 1, we hit episode 100. 2, every Tuesday, look on YouTube. You'll see it there on the Iconist on our YouTube page. We put our videos out at 10 o'clock our time here. We're in Toronto, so
Eastern Standard Time.
Eastern Standard Time. 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then and on Wednesdays on Eastern Standard Time at 10 o'clock, you'll find the podcast on iconist.podbean.com. Download an episode. Like, subscribe, share, review. Tell us what's going on. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you're enjoying. And if you have a question, let us know. Ask us. We'll cover it. There we go.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah.
We've covered it, right?
I think we did.
Okay. And like we like to say, the icon is, the icon is us. So we came out here to be face-to-face for once instead of sitting in our little basements in our rooms doing a podcast.
Hitting a screen.
This time I can't crack too many jokes on Rod because he's within arm's length of me. Ouch!
Be Hulk and Thor right there.
Ouch! Oh, good call out. So on this episode, what are we going to talk about? We are going to do some comparisons.
Yeah.
There's 2 of us, and I think there's a lot of comparisons that could be happening in the world of wonder of all this stuff we like, of comic books and movies and all this stuff.
Nice.
Yes. So our first comparison is, I'm looking at a lot of the trailers that are coming out, and I know we don't usually talk about some of the newer stuff. But then some of it has kind of made me go,
I'm wondering.
Yes, I'm wondering. So if any of you have seen it, you've probably seen the trailer for Blue Beetle. Yeah, the phone's ringing. This because what's happening. We're live. So we've seen the Blue Beetle trailer that just came out.
Right on.
Right. Did you watch the Blue Beetle?
I did see the Blue Beetle trailer. Yes, very interesting. I will say. Yeah, we'll get into it, but I've seen the trailer. I like what I see. I like what I find out so far.
Right.
I mean, they're giving some good comparisons in the sense of what you expect from the comics, what we expect from cartoons. They're giving a nice little real texture to it. I'm like, okay. Yeah. I think we got something here.
Right, and it gave some callbacks, right? So what I like is it had callbacks to the original first 2 Blue Beetles on there, right? So Ted Kord and the original one, I can't remember his name offhand.
Right.
I don't have my notes on me, but forgive me. someone could put it in the comments. But they show their costumes in there.
Right.
And this is the third Blue Beetle that's in line of that. But everything goes with the Scarab. And I found a very similarity, right? Because we talked about Blue Beetle when we had Larry Smith on.
Yes.
Right? And we went in there, we were talking about Ted Cord.
Yes.
And we did talk about, is it Dan Garrett? Dan Garrett.
Dan Garrett, that was it.
Okay,
I
Dan
was
Garrett.
thinking DG, a G, and I was like, you couldn't remember, like...
Right.
Right
See,
on. Right.
the gray matter's still there. So Dan Garrett came out, turned around, did it, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
With Larry Smith, we talked about that. And now we have, the new Blue Beetle. And I found him very similar. He's a teenage kid who gets an object that's now we know is from outer space.
Right.
That gives him superpowers, like let's say # battle armor.
Good answer. Good call. Good reach. Yeah.
Right. Which brings me back to one of my favorite shows that we talked about, and we all know when we covered Bio Booster Armor Guyver.
Guyver.
Woo! Guyver. Okay. I see the two of them very similar. They're both teenagers.
Yes.
Getting armor from outer space.
Yes.
Fighting against the people that gave them the armor from taking over the Earth.
Very. That's a nice one. You wouldn't even think about that one until you're in there, in the depth of it. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
So what came first, the rooster or the egg? Chicken or the egg? I don't.
Interesting.
Right, because Guyver came out like I know that the Scarab with Blue Beetle was out before Guyver existed.
Right, but that was the Dan Garrett one, which was.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right.
I'm following you.
Right.
I'm following you.
Right.
Okay.
But this one that we're getting the movie on is different because Guyver came out first with that kind of backstory.
Correct.
The only thing is he's fighting things that we perceived as monsters like werewolves and vampires. That's how they were written in history during the Guyver series. Mm-hmm. But here we are now. He's fighting, but he's still fighting aliens.
Right.
Still fighting aliens.
Okay.
Same thing with the third Blue Beetle. He's fighting aliens with the Scarab.
Yeah.
So who took who first? That's my question.
That's a very good question. Yeah, that'll be an interesting fight to see who's going to take claim to say, well, I was first. No, God, I was first. No. The lore of the Beetle, of the Blue Beetle, was there first.
Right.
So
yes. But he never gave that change the both. Okay, let's go back. Both of them got the similar tropes.
Yes.
Both students.
Yes.
Both young men.
Yes.
Right. They feel like they're misfits or kind of outsiders. They're outsiders,
mm-hmm.
And then they get bestowed an armor they don't understand in fluke situations. And now they got to save the world. And this thing is so powerful. Now, the Scarab does talk, to the host.
Correct.
The Guyver unit doesn't talk to the host, but automatically protects him because it increases his fighting style.
Yes.
So he goes from a teenager that couldn't barely throw a punch to pulling out full-out Jackie Chan, Jet Li martial arts.
100%. Coming out to basically being injected without being injected with the super soldier serum. That will be the closest thing I will say. Turning a young man, Steve Rogers, into Captain America. This is what we're gonna say. This is the closest trope I will even put onto that one.
Uh-oh.
But it's interesting because if you're looking at it from the standpoint of an outsider, okay, we're gonna start. It's a young person, a young man who basically is an outsider. He's not adapting well with people. He's always been that awkward third wheel, fifth wheel, seventh wheel in a group of people that he's like saying, why am I even? Okay, I guess you guys haven't kicked me out. I guess I'm all right. I can stay.
I can hang.
I can hang with you guys, but no one's talking to you. That's hilarious jokes. But then coming across the mysterious object. And I think that's the thing that really catches my eye with that is that the object for the Blue Bear. Okay, I'm gonna reverse. So I'll go with
Guyver.
Guyver first.
Okay.
So Guyver's particular object is unique. At the time, he didn't even know, if I remember correctly, he didn't even know that was outer space. It was just.
Yeah, it looked like a frisbee, a plate with an orb in the middle of it. Yeah, and it had some plates around it and some kind of metal strings or strands, and that was it. He picked up one hand and it stayed in his hand. He's like, "What's this?" And all of a sudden, bah!
Pretty much. Which, as you see the commercial, hey, what's this thing in the box? Takes it out, looks at it. Hey, what's this? And all of a sudden, bah! All up in your face. I tell you.
Yeah.
A little trophy there.
Well, I'm still down that how come we don't have a live action guy? Okay, a new live action Guyver movie. I'm not going to say there's not, because we know the first one had Mark Hamill in there playing a police officer.
Right.
And then the second one was actually directed by one of the directors from Power Rangers. This is why the fight scenes were a certain way, where it's Guyver Dark Hero, which is my personal favorite.
Right.
Okay, and you have the guy's name, instead of his name being Shen, it's Sean, because, North American. I got no problem with that. Mm-hmm. But how come we don't have a big budget live action Guyver movie for, coming out North America?
Okay, so this is what happens.
Looking at you, Russo brothers.
Listen, again, we brought it up before on our previous podcast about that. This is a little nudge. Let's talk about that again. Yeah, because in the world of what's going on right now, I think I was the one who said it. A Guyver movie, that IP can be resurrected and brought to life. This is the perfect time right now. We're making a comparison to what we're seeing right now with the Blue Beetle. You can clearly say and see Guyver, Blue Beetle, Guyver, Blue Beetle. It's right there. It's in front of you. It's just easy money, people. It's easy
Lisa needs braces. Dental plan. Lisa needs braces. Dental plan. It goes one and one. One and one. It makes sense to me. So I think we're missing opportunity with bringing Guyver to the big screen. It might be seen similar to how Blue Beetle is being presented right now. But once again, their histories are very similar, but then they diverge at one point. Guyver is more tragic than Blue Beetle to date. With how his story plays out with the loss of his dad, his loved ones. The Earth does get taken over, and then you find out the Guyver goes into different forms, right? So it's Guyver 1, and then there's like one form where he gets bigger, and then another one he gets like a giant-sized super robot kind of battle armor.
Super Saiyan.
Oh, okay, there's a comparison. Yeah, he leveled up, so it's gone like total Super Saiyan. Who's listening? Hopefully you guys are listening. So this is what we're seeing. That's my point. Okay, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. And this is the episode. It's just like when we watched it, I was like, everyone's like, Blue Beetle. I was like, Guyver. Blue Beetle, Guyver. And that's what I'm sticking with. So that's my 2 cents on that subject right there.
Okay. I kind of said my 2 cents and my 40 cents stuff as well. But basically, we're now walking into this world of this particular IP, Blue Beetle, and we're seeing something good. I'm gonna say that we're seeing something very good. The action and even the ability. Again, we all know from the cartoon, at least from the comic books, that the Scarab has the ability to morph and create, objects, whatever. So seeing that visually when it turned into that big long sword, basically, I can't even think of which manga type of cartoon. Manga. Character that was, but the big long sword. That was basically I saw that sword.
Everybody, man.
That was basically everybody. I was like thinking, this is drawing in people very well.
Yeah, so, that's like Cloud from Final Fantasy VII to
Final. That was in my head. I was like, I know that sword.
Cloud from Final Fantasy VII. I mean, come on, that's where his influences are coming from. It's all around there. I think I'm looking forward to it. I really want to see how they handle the past in it. Because sometimes I find they change it, and I'm not a big fan of how they change it. So what I mean by that is we see Ted Kord's costume in there.
Yes.
We see his Beetle, his Beetle ship that they fly around in. So they still get that. So where is Ted Kord? And how they're going to tie it in? Is he going to be alive still, or is he passed away at this point?
Right.
And then Dan Garrett. We know Dan Garrett passed away to pass on the power to Ted Kord. So how are they going to mention him? Because clearly we see the costume.
Yes.
I need to know, where is Ted Kord? Who's playing Ted Kord? Is Ted Kord in the movie? Has he passed away?
Are we doing any type of flashbacks?
Well, yeah.
And that's what I would like to see. Like, if we're going to... You're absolutely correct. His name, the company's there. We're seeing the suit. We're seeing the ship. We're seeing the lair. There's enough layers that Ted Kord has to physically appear. If he's not alive, he has to be shown in some type of backstory.
Yep.
Somehow. So it's nearly guaranteed. It'll be painful to actually watch that whole movie and they'll only mention him, show his lair, show the costumes, and that's it. That would be a miss. That would be a misfire. That would be like a missed opportunity.
Miss opportunity.
There you go. So I would say that with all that layers there, they're going to have a physical entity. Someone's going to have to physically represent Ted Kord. Now the part is, like you said, is it going to be alive or is it going to be dead?
You see, and that's the only thing. Like, here's where I think Marvel and DC. I know we've covered a lot of DC recently, but here's my disconnect with DC as a property when they're doing their live action stuff.
Okay.
Marvel, it's all generally one universe. Every character is in one universe with the exception of a few because they were owned by different studios. Mm-hmm. But then the mouse came in and bought them all, and now they're under one house.
I got money.
Yeah, exactly. No one fights Disney. Right? So we know that Deadpool, exactly. We know Deadpool was in a different universe. The X-Men in Deadpool are in a different universe.
Right.
The X-Men themselves are in a different universe.
Yep.
But then everyone else is under Marvel. So, okay, and then Spider-Man was part of Sony, but they're sharing him. Mm-hmm. So this is why he's an Avenger. So we know that Spider-Man is in the same universe as the Avengers.
Right.
But Venom seemed to pop back and forth. So, you know, and hopefully I don't know how, you know, where Morbius and Kraven fall into that, but because they're kind of going back and forth. We had the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
So they're kind of showing you
they're
the
working
gateway.
towards it. You can tell that
there's a segue.
It makes sense that they're working towards that final goal. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Because it looks like they're actually putting some type of traction. They're making at least a foot forward and making an attempt. A foot forward, making an attempt. They're making an attempt. That's okay. We're seeing some results from those steps. Now,
right. DC. Okay, so with DC, here's my issue. Every time they do something, they're in a different universe, but nobody overlaps. So the Justice League Snyderverse is one universe, right? It's, you know, and it seemed that Flash, we know he's in that universe, but he goes into another one. Okay, understandable with the Flash movie coming out.
Yep.
Flashpoint. But then the Shazam, Power Shazam, Fury Shazam, are they in the same universe or not? Because it almost seems that times they are, times they're not. And then you get, you know, the CW is in its own universe. And even the CW properties are split. Yeah. So Flash and Arrow are in the same universe, but Batgirl at one point was in a different universe. This is prior to the...
No, completely.
Prior to before they did their Crisis Infinite Earths.
Supergirl's in a different universe.
Supergirl's in a different universe. And right now, Superman and Lois, a show I do like and watch a lot...
is in a different universe.
Is in a different universe. But that Superman and Lois should be in the same universe as Supergirl. And so they splintered their product so much. And then there's, Ben Affleck, Batman.
Yep.
And then Matt Reeves, the Batman. And those are in different universes. So even though James Gunn has taken over and he's continuing those IPs, they all said, oh, well, the Batman's in one universe and the other Batman's in a different universe. And it's like confusing fans, like, okay, how many Batman are you having and where they are in the career? I'm not knocking the movies. It's just, it's too widespread.
Too widespread, too close together in the sense. Like if these were produced like easily, like 15 plus years apart, then it's easier for a person to recognize and think, like, okay, you know what? That was a universe. It's the same way in the sense, like, because you're bringing good, valid points in the sense, like a Michael Keaton Batman versus a George Clooney Batman. Like we know the two different actors and everything along that line, but we know those are two separate worlds.
Yeah,
and I accepted that because at the time it was still kind of far apart from Michael. When George came in, Michael Keaton was still a good 10 plus years apart, of course. And I was like, you know what? I can accept that of being in separate worlds. But these Batmans, the Zack Snyder, the Batman, all these universes are a little bit too close, and that's where the confusion part of it is.
Right. They really need to clean that up. And even I know that James Gunn turned around and said, well, this is going to be, going forward, some properties are going to be named the Elseworld properties. Okay, I get that. Elseworld, and give me my one shot, my Elseworlds, I'm all for that. But how they're releasing it's just kind of confusing. So, and then I kind of gone back to the drawing board again. I think they should have continued, but that's another conversation for a different day. But this is where I find it gets a little bit splintered. Like the animated series, Justice League Unlimited. Yeah. Beautiful. Like it started with Justice League and then went to Justice League Unlimited. Yep. And then they brought in all the characters, all in one universe. We know they are all shared in the same thing. We see them on the Watchtower even walking by. You see like the cowboy version Vigilante walking by with Shining Knight and so forth. So that made a lot more sense. Yeah. Now, when I watch it, for example, Black Adam, so I got Black Adam, I see the Justice Society is there, very happy, and then you see Superman show up at the end. We know that means that's the Justice Society, Justice League shared in a universe. Right. I would have accepted them being on a different Earth.
Yeah, you and I actually, yes, I agree.
Because of how their original history is, and then they never never mentioned why they're on the same universe. Like I think what they're missing is big events. You know, like how Avengers had Avengers Endgame and it brought everybody together, and then the CW did their version of
Crisis.
Crisis of Infinite Earths.
Mm-hmm.
They should have done something that similar for the movies to help clean some of that timeline up, streamline it, and then keep on going.
Well, you know what? We don't know what the original plan was. This is a scenario. That could have been what their goal was, to do something along that line, but the differences and everything, how everything could just get caught, dropped, people left, whatever the case may be. Now you've made it, really splintered out so much farther. Like I said, I'll say this in regards to the Shazam world. Yes, the Shazam world to me is in the same universe because Jimmy and then what? No, I can't remember the Marvel, at least the hero person who, like the kid who loves all the heroes and everything like that.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember the name, but he was had the Batarang and everything like that. So he was categorizing and knowing stuff. So he was to me was the pin that basically made a connection to the Superman, to the Batman, whatever the case may be. But the lore and how it was just like I couldn't see those two together. I couldn't see those worlds merging together. So it had to have been wiped, or just again, that was the one you'll say there are no connection to anybody else. Right,
and I also forgot that Titans, HBO Titans. That's in a different universe by itself altogether too.
100%.
Right.
You see the for me again. I know we're
DC hire us.
The scenario is it's like they need to just realize that you're getting all the source material, and the source material is telling them they're all in the same universe. Just put it in the same universe. Don't even have to say that they see each other type of scenario.
Right.
But you make it completely clear that no matter what, they are in the same universe.
Thank you.
That's all it is. The Teen Titans. Titans don't have to interact per se with Batgirl in that way. But you know for sure that no matter what, there is a connection.
Right. You see, okay, and I know we're kind of going. Where would you
chat? I know.
No. Today's
I know.
chat.
It's pure roundtable. It's great.
Pure roundtable chat.
We're just having pure fun.
We're having fun. Exactly. So here it goes. I think so. What I would like to see is, okay, I know James Gunn's going in there. People are kind of skeptical what's going to happen. It's a shame that we're kind of getting rid of all the history that was established before, all the actors that were there before, because I was really enjoying a lot of the actors in those roles.
Right.
If you want to go back, I think we got to go back, and I think we got to go back to basics.
Basic?
So, yeah, basic. I would want to see something literally called the Superman family. Give me an animated series, Superman family.
Okay.
And do that, even as a cartoon, a couple of episodes. Or not episodes, but a couple of movies. Superman family. Just like the old school Superman family comic book, Batman family comic book. Do that. Let's explore the lore, because in those books, they came across some good points. In the Batman family, you saw Batman, or Earth 1 Batman. And then it would go on and you see Earth 2 Batman. And then his stories were after he passed away, from Earth 2, he passed away, so he had Robin and Huntress is his biological daughter.
Right.
So that Robin turned around and changed his costume to be part Batman, part Robin, and continue those adventures.
Right.
I think if you take those and did like a good crossover that way, Justice League, nice.
Family crisis. It's a family crisis. Sorry, just
exactly right. But see, and then Superman family. So Batman family had Batman, Robin. It had Earth 2 Batman and Robin. It gave some tales of them in the future. It had Batgirl in there. It had Man-Bat in there. And then the other time you had Batmite. So that was the Batman family. Anyone under that moniker really and followed their adventures. And it showed where Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon started having feelings for each other.
Right.
And at first, Dick Grayson was more into Barbara Gordon. She was more kind of, no, I'm like a year or 2 years older than you. But, it shows you the basis, the core, the source material of the relationship that started in those books and why it went a certain way. And a lot of that is missed out. And then you had, like World's Finest. So when you get into those books, those had a lot of history. And then what was fun, they just came up with the movie Super Sons.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, but let's go way back to those books, right? Where it was the Batman family, Superman family, or World's Finest. They had stories in there called Super Sons. And it was Clark Kent Jr., Bruce Wayne Jr. Come on, let's bear with it. It was the 70s. Let's get with it. And then they had their own series. So Superman Jr., Clark Kent Jr., he had half the powers of his dad.
Right.
Because he was, he was half human.
Right.
Okay, but when you read the books, you make assumptions that you always see Clark Kent, you see his son, and then it has the mom sitting there, but she's always, a silhouette. So you don't know, is it Lois Lane? Mm-hmm. Is it Lana Lang? Is it somebody else? We don't know. And that's the beauty of it. And then they did the same thing for Bruce Wayne, right? And you automatically assume, okay, you see Bruce Wayne, you see Bruce Wayne Jr., and you see a person in a silhouette.
Right.
You always assume, is it Selena Kyle, or it could be Vicky Vale? We don't know. After a couple of their adventures, and they go by, and of course some of them are very over the top, you come down and you realize that it was a computer program that Batman and Superman put together, saying, hey, what would happen if we had kids?
Right.
And they're in a Fortress of Solitude, and they were running this program, and it was just kind of showing, can we have a family, yes or no?
Right.
Because that's something they both were questioning. And then, of course, some accident happens, and it brings these computer-generated characters into the real world, and it's causing, reality to distort and so forth. And this is how they had to turn around and end it. So they actually got the experience. I'm talking Superman and Batman got the experience having kids, what would it be like? And then they had to sacrifice them to save the world. And these kids even realized, like, hey, we are not real. This is why we can never remember who our moms are.
Got it.
Because you put in the information you knew. So Batman didn't know who he was going to marry. Right. He just said, I'm going to marry a woman. Superman didn't know who he was going to marry. I'm going to marry a woman. Most likely human. That's the way it comes down to. And this is where it goes forward. So, that being said, those are good source material. It was fun stories that they're kind of revisiting now that people, because they don't follow the source material, miss out on that. Whew. Okay, I know it was long-winded. That was
all good. It's all good. It's all good.
It's all good. It's all good. You still with me? All right,
I'm still here. Still here.
All right, still here. Okay, still here. All right, man. So now, okay. We're filming live. This is what happens, right? Or we're recording here in the store. And so my other camera stopped. I'm going to turn it on. Rod, you keep going. I'm going to keep talking, though. So,
okay,
so here's our next subject. The next subject is we're coming down to comparisons. Next comparison.
Mandalorian.
Right? And who would I find very similar to Mandalorian? I know a lot of people are going to say Mandalorian is very similar to, Lone Wolf and Cub. Right? Those storylines. And that's the dynamic of the relationship.
Right now.
Yes. But the Mandalorian, his precepts, his ideology, his lore, remind me a lot of Acroyear from Micronauts Volume 1. There are two people in armor. Okay, that's one similarity. They never take off their mask to anybody or their helmets to expose themselves because of their beliefs. It's a religious thing.
Right.
Nobody outside their culture is allowed to see their faces.
Okay.
And then on top of it, the Mandalorian's home planet was bombed by the Empire, so it was uninhabitable. You couldn't live there until, this season, if you caught up on it, they were able to go back.
Right.
Okay, with Acroyear, they started off as farmers. Their planet got destroyed. They had to leave it in these giant ships called arcs. The whole civilization just left it. Found another planet. The planet was a desolate, barren rock planet. Couldn't really support any farming life. But the planet had a spirit inside of it. And it reached out to them saying, hey, you need a planet. I need people to live here. If you want to accept me, I will take you guys on as my inhabitants. You can live here, but it's be a harsh living. And they had to go from farmers to be warriors. Okay. And this is where they made the Spartek armor. They're living on a planet called Spartek. They had to make the armor. They called Spartek the living planet. It looked like two planets merged together with a lot of rocks. And this is where they developed into. So once again, I find the Mandalorian is very similar with Acroyear. They don't show their faces. Even when they have to take on a mate, they have to go through a whole ceremony. And then there's a disrobing ceremony. I'm talking about the Acroyers. A disrobing ceremony that they have to, and only then does their partner, significant other, see them without the mask, without anything else. What I found was interesting is with the Acroyers, so you had Acroyear, who was named after his people.
Right.
He was a prince. He was their savior. His brother was jealous of him, and his brother had pale skin. His brother was born albino because you find out, I think, in issue 8 or 9, when he takes off his mask the first time in the comic book, which was Michael Golden and Bill Mantello who were doing that run, that the whole Acroyear race is black.
Ebony skin. Let's go.
Ebony skin. Exactly. Exactly. And nobody knew that before. Everyone was like, so I remember reading the issue and he took off the mask. I'm like, oh, it's just shading. And then he took it off. You're like, oh, wow. The only thing is that they don't have their noses. They don't have the cartilage. It's very flat. So picture you don't have like nostrils per se.
Right.
It's just the openings. It's flat, and that's it. And this is why their mask can come down a certain way over their faces.
Got it.
Amazing, amazing. But here we are. So I'm finding similarities with that. I'm looking at Mando. You know, the Jinn, and you know the whole Mandalorian. I know I mispronounced his name, so don't shoot me. The whole Mandalorian thing, and I'm thinking, okay, that's you know, Micronauts. That's back from the 1977-78 run, and here we are in 2023, and I'm like, oh, someone did some homework. I think there's been influences.
Might be. There might be.
Right?
Yeah. No. Like, I mean,
Keep it going. I'm just gonna turn on the other camera. Keep it going.
No, okay, cool. No, but I mean, like the Mando lore is again very similar in the sense, like basically, not even saying from birth, from the time you make the exception that you are going to follow the way of the Mandalorians, you're now been presented, and you have to don the mask, and that is it. As you can find out, definitely with the show and everything along that line, you realize that young children from the age of like, seem like 8 to 10, are donning masks, going through their way of understanding that, you know, training, learning how to, you know, how to adapt and how to accept that particular, you know, the religion, that lore of doing that. So it's a great thing. Again, they don't take off the mask. They don't take off the mask when they are basically even eating or anything along that line. Not along there by themselves. They can't take off their mask in the presence of anybody.
Yeah, exactly. Even when amongst themselves, it's like a modern day and age family, right? I had to take off my shirt; it was too hot. Hit my sweaty. It was a modern day and age family. It's like, okay, everyone, dinner time, and everyone comes down. It's like, hey, mom, hey, dad, dinner time. Can I eat my food in my room? I'm gonna eat food in the dining room. And then it's like, I'm gonna eat my food in front of the TV over here in the den. And then everyone comes, gets their food in the kitchen, and then everyone splits, break, and goes and eats their food someplace else. And you're yelling at the kids, don't leave the plates in your room, bring them back. So that's what they do for Mandor. For Mandalorians, they do that.
Hard facts.
Right? The Acroyears, not so strict on that part because they do have big grand meeting halls and so forth, but they will never, ever take off that mask.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm talking the original run. So we're talking the first 12 issues of Micronauts by, you know, Bill Mettello and Michael Golden. They never take off their mask in front of everybody else. Yes, I know later on, Acroyear does take off his mask. He never has it on at one point. He gets, like, you know, kicked out from his people. He has to. And just like Mando in The Mandalorian, he gets, you know, shunned by his people because he uses the spirit of Spartek to fight Baron Kaza.
Okay.
Teams up with the Enigma Force. They bring him down. Okay, but the planet ends up dying. So everyone has to get back on Arcs and leave. And his wife was so pissed that she turned around and said, okay, well, you know what? You betrayed our people to help someone else that's never helped us. And they left this symbol on a rock. And, you know, he saw it. He understood what it was. His people left the planet. The planet was dead. The spirit is gone. Even though the spirit understood what he needed to do. So Acroyear had to merge with the spirit of his planet to do it. So the world was on top of it. It's like, hey, yeah, let's do this. His people didn't understand that. His wife said, nope, you're a traitor to the people. So he had to take off his helmet, and he had to brand a T onto his forehead as a traitor. And he was kicked out from his people. So for the longest time, he only put his helmet on after those, issue 12 or so forth, only when he was in combat. Every other time, he left his helmet off. Nice. So he had a lot of a similar path, like Worf, from Picard, where he was a warrior. He went through being dishonored. He had to fight for his honor back. So Acroyear had to go through a whole lot of trials to, one, get his people back, be seen as because he was a prince at the time, be seen as a king again, and, you know, and as it, and get his wife back. And then you find out later on that she was pregnant with their child. And it's like, you never told me. Well, you were a traitor to our people.
I ain't telling you that.
You know, the people are following me. So, you know, and just like the Mandalorian, he took off his mask in season 2. He had to see the armorer. He had to go back to the home planet and get those waters, bathe in those waters to be seen as a Mandalorian again. And because it is the way. A lot of influence. I think I don't know if someone read, if this is someone that said, hey, this would be a good idea, let's do it this way, or if someone read Micronauts back in the day.
Right.
That was on the writing staff. I'm not accusing nobody. I'm just saying, if you read the first 12 issues of Micronauts, and then you watch season 3 of The Mandalorian, or just watch The Mandalorian,
you'll see
you'll be like, huh.
similarities. Okay. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Like, I never really had the knowledge of the backstory for the Micronauts. And no, I will take that hit. I will take that hit because I know that's your thing. Like, I know of the Micronauts. I read it, but to the lore, to the sense of a character like that, I don't know. So I'm learning something as well.
You will learn today.
I will learn today.
Because we in the source material store, and I'm looking around the shelves, and I see issues of Micronauts up on the shelves. I see Deathstroke the Terminator, that's my boy over there, on one of the covers on the shelves. I'm like, okay, we gonna learn today.
We're gonna learn today. But definitely in that regard, knowing and definitely understanding the lore of what they're trying to pronounce with the show, you start to understand.
Yeah.
I understand the psychology and the understanding of why they do what they do and how to distinguish themselves. And it's also another way of discipline, sharpening your own skills mentally,
Yes.
strengthening your mental capacity to realize, like, no, even if you are down and out, if you still believe in the lore of the Mandalorian, you will follow the rules. These are the steps. Follow the rules. You will still come out on top. Follow the rules.
All the rules. It is the way.
It is the way.
It is the way.
It's the mantra of life.
It is the way. Very simple. But I'm not knocking it. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying I see the similarities.
No, completely. No, completely.
And for anyone, and here's my thing: if you like The Mandalorian, I think I mentioned this before, you got to read Lone Wolf and Cub.
Mm-hmm.
If you like the psychology behind The Mandalorian, you got to pick up Volume 1 of Micronauts. At least the first 12 issues. The first 12 issues are so impactful with the art, the way they're telling the story. And I know this, and then there's comparisons between Micronauts and Star Wars. So,
Right? No, completely.
something
that is there.
influences something. I know before I mentioned...
And that's the part I was going to get to. There's
Yeah.
always, for every type of action or any type of literature, there's always going to be some type of source or some type of influence from somewhere. So,
Right.
so it's going to happen. Now you just got to see how deep of that influence, how does it change the dynamics of what you're reading, of what, did a person rely so much heavily on that source material or the influence, or they just took a bullet point, like, you know what, individual, and he wears mask, he doesn't take it off, I'll run with that, and that's it.
Yeah.
So no, this is a good conversation. This is a good comparison that we're having right now.
It's down the rabbit hole. You got to go down the rabbit hole. This is what I always say. Because if you read one, it's going to lead you to something else. And if you really want to know more, it's going to lead you to something else.
100%.
At one point, you're going to get down to the core. Right now, we're just going through the layers. But we're going to get down to the core. And there's probably things I missed. And if that's the case, let me know. Make us know what we missed or what you might think it might be similar to. Because there's so many books to read that I would need to find the Fountain of Youth maybe 4 to 5 times over to start again to catch up on all the stuff I want to read that I haven't read yet. Hard facts. So the show's not over, but we want to give out I want to give out some shout outs to the past people.
Okay, let's go.
Right on. So, one, I want to say thank you, and we're going to keep talking. I want to say thank you to some of the guests we've had on the show. Or try to remember all of them. If I miss one, it's the Gray Mary. I'll catch you in the comments below. So, I want to say a big shout out. First of all, we always say Jason Reese, Jaybird Digital Arts.
There you go.
Right? He's done a lot for us, and we want to just kind of put it out there. Jay, thank you. And as I tell you, everyone, every episode we always say you got to reach out to Jay. So that's one. 2, Wow Comics. We're in Wow Comics. You got to come and check it out. It's and this is only one floor, part of a room.
Yeah.
There's another room over there.
Right.
And then there's still another room out there in the back. And then there's all of downstairs, which is bigger than what you're seeing here.
Right.
Because the basement takes place like the whole building. It's a complex. It's not even a building at this point. It's not even a comic book store. It's a comic book complex.
Yeah.
Right? Check Swings. So the guys over at Check Swings always supporting us. Thank you very much. But then let's look back past guests. So we've had on Jason as one of the guests.
Right.
Right, when we were talking about Vince McMahon. Vinnie Mac! My man. Then, we've had on Dave. I think Dave was our first guest. Like, I'm talking like year 1. So Dave Sokolowski, he's been on the show a couple of times. man, that's my comedy brother right there, and this is why I roll with Dave. He loves it all, and we have great conversations. So, big shout out to Dave Sokolowski. It's our first guest, I believe we had on.
Yeah, could have been.
I know Jason Reese was on.
Mm-hmm.
Jason was on with Dave. And then we had Matt, who was on when we talked about Doctor Doom.
Yes.
Right? So, got to say thank you to Matt. Got to say thank you to Andrew, and he's coming back with talking about Star Trek and all that stuff, and he's very excited to talk about the Next Generation and Picard, right?
Yep.
We had on Larry Smith when we talked about Blue Beetle, so thank you so much, Larry, for jumping on the show.
Definitely.
We've had on Thomas Patrice
a
couple of times. Woo! That was talking about Batman and anything, anything along those lines. We had on Joe Bethello, right, fellow comedian. When we spoke about Nova, the human rocket,
right?
And he's definitely wants to come back. He's like, you gotta love Nova, and then of course, hold on.
We had Roland Lowe.
Yes, Roland.
When we had Goldorak.
Yes, Grandizer.
Grandizer.
Yes.
We had him there as well.
We gotta bring him back. We gotta bring all the guests back.
100%.
Am I missing anyone? Oh yes, I know. Biggest guest we've had on was Chris from Comic Tropes.
Yes.
They say sometimes say don't meet your heroes.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, but this time meet your hero.
No, I'm okay with meeting my hero.
Oh yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Wow.
I'm okay with that. Don't meet your hero? No.
Let me tell you, Chris from Comic Tropes, as nice as he is on camera, he's nicer off camera. It's just him.
Yeah.
He's genuine. It was so great having him on. That was the biggest guest. And then, of course, the one that was really dear to my heart was having my best friend on. I mean, I have more than one best friend, so I'm blessed that way. But my best friend on from, elementary school, Derwin Jordan.
Yep.
Right? We had him on for Nightman, and then we talked about Jason X.
Yep.
Any reason you get to do a project and talk to your friends and have them a part of it is great. So, I think did I miss anybody?
I'm here trying to think myself. I'm trying to think, but again, if we forgot anybody, please, the gray matter, we will put that in the below.
We'll do an extra on that one, so that's for sure. So these are all the people that you've seen on the show, and I know there's more that are looking forward to coming on. So I know there's a couple other comedians that I know that I work with, some friends that have ideas for future shows that we have in the works coming out with other more fan casting coming up.
Yep.
And I'm very excited for some of them. So we're going to explore the lore. I will, in the next couple of episodes, we will cover Gotcha Man. We will cover Micronauts. I know Rod is very surprised we haven't done it yet.
100%.
Because he knows me, but okay.
Because sometimes we go over the list. Okay, what do we do? Who do we do? Whatever the case. Who's next? What do we think about? What are we gonna do the next month or whatever the case would be? And then Micronauts will come up and like, we done Micronauts?
No, we haven't done Micronauts yet.
And that's really the statement goes. Like,
no, we haven't.
I thought you would have done that already.
No, we haven't. Because
okay, cool.
Because the point is, if you remember when we did the G.I. Joe cartoon.
Oh yeah.
The G.I. Joe the movie, and we just kept singing the theme song throughout the whole time. When we did Guyver, and I was just yelling out Guyver the whole time. I'm trying to contain the excitement so I can at least be tangible and make sense when I'm talking about Micronauts and Gotcha Man.
Yeah.
I gotta, I'm already, I got the goosebumps going. I gotta control myself because I would explode when I talk about these things because that's it. Oh yeah, that's the pinnacle right there.
There you go.
That is the pinnacle for me. That's the mountaintop.
There you go.
Oh, I can't. No. Okay. All right. Okay. And stuff like Deathstroke. Okay. Yeah.
Okay then.
Don't. Please. Okay. We have to, but
we will.
We will. I had my excitement with Starjammers. Okay, yeah, we will.
Yep.
We will. And I mean, obviously, to other people that tune in and watch the show week after week, thank you so much.
Yes.
And even a special extra thank you to those who have left comments in our videos.
Yep.
We reply back to them. I know just earlier, it's today for me, but I mean, by the time this episode comes out, it's going to be a couple of weeks. There's one Miss Darkness. She wrote a nice blurb on our Cyber 6 episode. So just want to say thank you, Miss Darkness, on our putting those words on our YouTube page. That was really heartfelt and touching. That was amazing. And we wrote back. So we always try to, that we want the channel bigger, but we're still lucky that we can interact with anyone that's sending comments and notes that way. And we're all across social media, left, right, and center. So you can't go wrong with us on that one there. Oh, yeah. I think
good?
I'm good. Okay.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
You sure?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
All
Yep.
right. Yeah, if you think so. All right.
Yep.
so-
Yep.
all
Okay.
right.
I'm still trying to, okay. Yeah.
Contain.
Because I got Micronauts and Gatchaman on the mind now. Like I want to go like
Containment
bird go.
Containment field is breaking.
Yeah. Bird go. Transmute.
We're at 75% containment field.
It's gonna break.
We're at 65% containment field.
It's gonna break.
We're at 53% containment field.
Oh.
Let's end the show before we do a full meltdown, and then we may not be able to cover the cost of in here now. So with that,
Thank you very much.
with that,
Thank you once again. This is the Iconist Podcast.
Yep.
This has been episode 100. 100. We've made it. Thank you, and we're still trucking on. So, in those famous words, this whole world was started by a pencil, a piece of paper, and lots of imagination. Keep on dreaming. Route.
go. All right.
Okay. Okay. Enough said.
Literally, I just picked this up. And I just
Wow. Okay. And we're done. Mic drop.